Yeah, you already know it's your boy Joe back at it again, man. CodingPhase.com. You did. Alright, guys, listen. So, I just did a little super quick introduction to React. And I don't even know if I can consider that introduction to React. It's more of just like explaining to you guys how to install or just initialize React with this project, right? So, now we're gonna go into the components and understanding it a little bit better. All right, so I want you guys to understand, remember how we broke down the page and we said, okay, from here to here, that's a section. This right here is another section, and then inside of it we had one section which was called the model, and another section inside of it which was called the content, right? Now, the same way how we did that with HTML, that's what we're going to do now with React. We're gonna break this down into multiple components, right? So we're gonna do this like this. This is gonna be the index of the basically of the application, right? We're gonna create another one that's going to be called, let's call this a folder, and let's name this container. As a matter of fact, just component, right? Components, right? We're gonna create that folder. Now we're going to break down this page into multiple components. So we're gonna say this the header, this the content area, and then like that, right? For now. Later on we might break it down into more components, but for now let's just keep it simple. So let's look at what we have here. We have this one, which is your container, this div, which is the web app root, which I'm going to actually delete, right? We're gonna delete the class of that, and then what we're going to do is we're going to rename this ID that says app. We're gonna name this, web app root. Let me right click this. Let me see. Okay, all right. So we're gonna name that web app root, and then we're going to name this here app roots. All right, now this is loading. Cool, it compiled. Yeah, so what I'm doing right now is basically explaining what's going on just this JavaScript file, right? So what we're doing here is saying we're gonna start with line 1. Import React, which is the library, and then the function component from React, right? If that doesn't make sense, it's all right. You know, you can look it up online, check up other tutorials, tutorials from Stephen Grider. Like I said, they're in the description if you want more details than what you're getting from here. All right, so that's what's happening on that line. Then from there, import React DOM, which is the way how React gets to actually render things to a page. So it's just another library just to render things. All right, then we have a class named layout that extends the component. So what it's doing is basically saying, hey, create this class which is using component, which is using the component function. It's pretty much just extending it. Whatever is inside the component function itself is extending that, right? Now, then from there you have a constructor. There's a constructor function. If you guys haven't checked object-oriented programming, that's another thing that's going on here. It's fine, don't worry about it. It might look more difficult than what it really is. Think about it like this. There's a class. This whole JavaScript, let's say, is a class, right? Then from there, inside of it, you have a constructor function, which means it's the first function that gets triggered. Before any other function gets triggered, this gets triggered by default, right? Then you have a super function, which is just saying, hey, run this like now. That's basically what it's saying. All right. Now that state, this is where you're gonna keep track of everything that's happening within your component. Within this component, everything that you want to track, you track it here. So at any moment, this is just values and variables inside of this component. At any moment, you could reuse this and add anything here. So you could even do something like this, like, okay, we named this Joe, let's say age 29. All right, and then I want to print this out. I want to print this out here. So I'm gonna print it out right here. So if you do curly brackets, right? The curly brackets, if you do curly brackets and you say this dot state dot name, right? Now let's do that. And then let's say if you wanted to do that and you wanted to print the name, now I want to print the age. Now this is basically going to print the age. So technically it's being compiled through here, and then here, as you can see, Joe 29. It's just a way to keep track of your variables, right? So now let's do this, right? Let's move on to the next thing, because all of this stuff it probably doesn't make that much sense now, but it makes sense as you build on the components and as you build on the whole tutorial, the whole website. You're gonna see later on. All right. So then from there we have the render function. The render function is what's telling the React DOM, like, hey, render this. So anything inside of it gets rendered. So whatever we return from this function, remember there's a function, right? Whatever we return from here is what's gonna get rendered inside of this web app root. Wherever that element, like, remember this, guys, from basic JavaScript, document.getElement by ID. So what we're doing is, hey, find this div that has the web app root, right? And then inside of it, show this application, render this application, right? Now, let's move on. Cool. So then from there, whatever gets returned is what gets to be shown to the person. Now, this is very important. Remember this. With React component, you need basically a parent div or a parent HTML tag. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a tag. It could be a li tag. It could be a UL. It could be whatever it is. But it needs to be a parent tag. And then inside of it, you put in all your other HTML that you want to put in. So like, let's say here, if I was to delete this div and this div, it'll still work because this is actually going all around it. But like, let's say, let me try to find a good example. If I delete container and I delete this, most likely it won't work. You see, right here is giving me an error because there's a HTML tag with another HTML tag at the same level as it, right? And then from there, that's what we're trying to render. It's gonna give us an error because it's saying, hey, you can't render this. You can't render two HTML tags at once. You have to render only one. So that's why we go back, Control Z. That's why we gotta have one parent div from, like you see here, there from the beginning to the end, to basically say, hey, everything inside of this is a component, right? Everything inside of this is this component, and this is what we rendering to the page. When we save that, it shows your component here. All right, now let's continue with this. If this doesn't make sense, think about it like this. It's just like HTML. Same way how in HTML you have a div, which is the parent, and then from there every child, depending on how you want to lay out your page, then you have your child in different orders. That's basically it. It's just regular HTML. The only difference is for you to render your component into whatever div you want it to show up at, it has to be surrounded by the parent, right? Sorry guys, my throat killing me right now. All right, so let's continue with this. Okay, where we at? So basically we got this done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create another component. We're gonna copy this. There's really no point on rewriting this. We're gonna copy this. We're gonna create a new file and we're gonna name this header.js. Or let me see, I don't know if I set it up for this one, JSX. All right, we're gonna find out. For now, we're gonna name it JS just for now. Okay, so remember, inside of the components folder, create a file named header.js. All right, so now we're gonna do a couple of little changes that's gonna be different from this one. This one was your index file, right? This is like your master component. This is the first component that's gonna be rendering every other component out there. But the header, remember the header is just this, from here to here, right? So what we want to do is we're going to say, okay, we're going to create a way to export just that component, that HTML from there to there, right? Now, all you have to do here is come here. We're going to do a couple of little changes because we're not actually rendering this to the page. We're going to delete this, right? And we're going to come up here and we're going to say export default class, save this, layout extends component. So what this is basically doing is exporting this class layout as the default. If you guys haven't taken any courses on Node.js, like I said, it's fine. You could take, and you want to know more, you could take one of the courses down there, right? But like I said, all of this stuff is just for you to follow along. And as you continue to learn in this tutorial, you will understand everything. Trust me, sometimes understanding every single detail, believe me, it's not needed at all. All right. Now, let's do this. Let's import. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to bring that code from that file there, and we're going to say import header from components / header, and then that's it. So what that's going to do is it's going to import that file header.js into this code here. And then now what we're going to be able to do is come here and say delete that and load the header component. Man, let me see. Sorry guys. What the hell's wrong with my typing? All right. Now, let's see if that works. It's going through. It seems like it's working. No errors. Let's see at the code. Okay, cool. As you can see, what it did was it loaded both components. On the other file, the header.js, currently what it has is the full page, just like this one. Right? So here where it was supposed to basically import just the header, what it did, imported the file. So it's importing everything into the area where the header was at. Right? So as you can see here. So this what it's just saying is basically, hey, we're importing this header component here. All right. Now we're going to come here to the header component and we're actually going to edit it. We're going to come here, delete all of this stuff. delete. We can delete this div. We can delete this header. Now we could save this, and now everything should be proper. Now let me find out why it's giving me so many errors. Okay, React DOM is defined but never used because we no longer need it. Let me see what else is giving us error. Okay, indentation was 6 but found 10. So let's fix that. Okay, let me see what's the problem. Okay. Cool. All right, it's telling me we're using double quotes. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a Control F, and we're going to say, we're gonna basically on everything, we're gonna say, okay, wherever you see equals double quotes, right? We're gonna say equals curly bracket and then a single quote, and we're gonna say find all and replace. Now wherever we find a double quote and a closing bracket, right? Closing bracket, yeah. We're gonna basically come in and we're gonna say single quote, curly bracket, closing bracket, right? Find all, header, delete. Now let me see what the hell was this error about. Okay, I think currently is just bugging out for whatever reason. Trailing space not allowed. Okay, all right. Let me see. Let's see if closing this fixes it. Yeah, that was just a bug with Atom. I don't know what the hell was going on. Okay, boom. Now this should be good. This component should be good. Now let's see what else. Okay, let me see what else might be wrong with it. Let's say yarn run. Now yarn watch. Okay, I guess it still hasn't. It's still loading the old one. I don't know if it's cached or something. Okay. Okay, there you go. That was the problem. Sometimes when you see things like that, is being cached. So make sure you right click, not right click, you hold it down over here and then empty cache and hard reload. Right? So now also too, make sure here your disable cache on your console log. Right? So now, as you could see, what we did was we broke down this page into two components, right? We basically have the master component, and then inside of it, we have the header component, right? And we still got to create another component, which is going to, what we're going to do is just duplicate this, right click header, and we're going to say content area. Content area. All right. Cool. So we got content area. All right. Now, let's see. We're gonna take this section from here. Delete that. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna come to the content area file, paste it inside. All right. Now, also, we're going to rename this here to content area. Make sure this here is named header. Make sure that we're actually exporting it like that properly. Export default class header, and here we export default class content area extends component. All right, save this, save both of them. Okay, what else we gotta do here? Come to the web app and basically do content area. So the new component shows up here, and what we're going to do is we're going to import content area. Now also to rename this to content area. Let me see, double quotes. Oops. So we're gonna search that, find old, replace. Oops. All right, now we're gonna do it like this. Let me find that, equals, so equals, curly bracket, then find all. Oops, delete that. Okay, now it's not giving us no errors. All right, cool. Now let me see. Everything's fine. Here we gotta clean up this. Like, if you guys don't know how I'm getting this errors, remember those packages I told you guys from the beginning? This is why it's important, because you will actually see errors that you might make on your JavaScript or ways to clean it up with the linter. And from what I use is basically called JavaScript standard. So yeah, make sure you download those packages or look it up. It's right there on one of the first videos of this playlist, so check it out. All right, now let's continue with this. Let's do this. Find all, replace, and then whatever is single quote and a closing bracket, press single quote, curly bracket, closing bracket. Find all, replace. All right, that should be fine. Now let's see here. Where is the error? Okay, the error is right here. So there is no alt tag to it. Okay, move this, create this, and now everything is fine. No more errors. Matter of fact, there's one. Where is it? Expected 10 spaces but found 8. Line 48. Cool. That's it. He's just basically telling me, hey, clean up your freaking code, man. All right. All right. So let's see if everything came out good. Let me do it one more time. Yarn, run, watch. All right. Looks good. Inspect. Let me move this to the bottom. Let's do empty cache and hard reload. Do it one more time. Empty cache, hard reload. Cool. Everything is fine. Now you can actually download this extension, which is the React extension. React. Let's see, is it this one? Yeah. React tools. All right. Now, when you come to your page, okay, let's see, this page is using a build of React. Note that the development build is not suitable for production. Yes. Okay. Now we come here technically you can see this little thing here and shows you your components. So as you can see here, right, we have the layout, which is the master app, right? Master component, which is this, right? Layout. And then the layout is actually being rendered to the app, which is this, the ID of web app root, right? So when you come here, that's what's going on, right? Now, inside of that, we have two other components, which are named header and content area. And we could actually look inside of it to see the content area component and then the header component, right? What's cool about this is at any moment, if I wanted to take this component and use it in another page, I could just take it. And yes, you could say, hey, I could just copy the HTML, and you're right. But if you wanted to add more functionalities to this components, and like, you know, I don't know, you create something where it's like, hey, whenever the user goes over $1,000 in their cart, show them a little pop-up, or keep track of them and say, hey, this person is a valuable customer. Whatever it is that you want to keep track of on the page, you can do that now. And you could actually take that component and move it around anywhere, you know, at any moment. Like this header, I could reuse the same header in 30,000 different pages, right? And whenever I do one change on this component, right, I could come here and change this and say, hey, I want to name this to blog, right, instead of news. So now when this thing loads, whenever I'm using this component, now it changes everywhere. So I don't have to go in manually, you know, component by component and be like, oh, I want to change this to block, change this to block, change this to block. Now I could just pretty much just use it and change it once, and it reflects throughout the whole website. All right, that's one of the reasons why I love React, and one of the reasons why I love components. The more we continue building this, the more you understand all the cool features that we can do with this. And yeah, make sure you subscribe to your kid. Your boy's back. I done did it again. All right, hopefully this is useful to you guys. And like I said before, you know, this whole tutorial is for you to actually start building a page you can be proud of, something that's cool and trendy, something that you could show it to your friend and be like, oh cool, look what I'm building right now, right? So yeah, so that's the main reason why I created this whole tutorial. But if you want to learn these technologies, these frameworks, everything that I'm doing, guys, I'm telling you, learn it from Stephen Grider. He's like the best of the best, you know. Also, take this tutorial for what it is. It's free. It's for you guys to get your hands dirty into React, see how things work on a quick basis. And then once you're ready to say, hey, I want to learn all these technologies, I want to learn all of these things, then go ahead, take one of the courses from Stephen Grider. They're right there on my tutorial, my descriptions of all my tutorials and all my you know, my videos. So yeah, man, I'm tired. All right, guys, I'll see you guys later. Bow. GGG, you already know it's your boy Joe back at it again, man. Listen, make sure you subscribe and make sure you like this video, man. By the way, if you want to know exactly what courses I took to become a web developer, they're right there in the description. It's no secret. It's nothing crazy. It's no secret gift that I had. It's just pretty much I took the courses. They're pretty cheap. They're like $15 each on specials. And just listen, man, change your life, change your lifestyle. Do something fun and something cool that you could call a career. Bow.